Good morning, Santa Barbara. I'm Ricky Biggs here with your issues and information. Talking this morning to Thomas Kaufmann. He's the founder of AutoJoy, who are involved in the Let's Loop Santa Barbara campaign, which is currently going on. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So you are the, like I said, founder of AutoJoy, which is involved in the Let's Loop Santa Barbara campaign to increase accessibility for the hearing impaired here in Santa Barbara.
Exactly. So our goal is to increase accessibility so that hearing impaired people, which make about 20% of the population in this country, can enjoy performances at public venues, services at church, and so on much better, because we'll help them understand and hear better.
And that's done through a process called looping, which I, first of all, didn't even know what this was until kind of reading up on it. Do you want to maybe explain what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing is we're installing hearing loops in those venues. And a hearing loop is an assistive listening system that transfers sound wirelessly to people's hearing aids. So essentially, a person with a hearing aid that has a T-coil or telecoil, which is the little receiver in the hearing aid, just walks into the venue, presses a button on the hearing aid, and they can hear crystal clear, and they get the sound right into the hearing aid.
That's amazing. And it comes kind of built into most hearing aids already, right? You don't have to buy like a special...
Yeah, it's universal across all manufacturers, and the technology is actually universal all over the world. And currently about 70 to 80% of the hearing aids in the market have that technology built in, and it doesn't cost anything extra. So if someone goes and buys a hearing aid, and their audiologist or hearing instrument specialist doesn't educate them about that technology, but they know about it, they can just request to have that telecoil built in, and it doesn't cost any single buck extra.
That's great. It's just at the touch of a button, you go into one of these looped venues, which we have a few here in Santa Barbara, correct?
That's correct, yes. We have loop venues, for example, the Mary Craig Auditorium at the Santa Barbara Museum of Art. We have a retirement home, Wood Glen Hall, which has a hearing loop installed. And we just recently installed a hearing loop at Campbell Hall up at UCSB, where the Arts and Lecture Series is held.
So it is becoming more popular, but through the Let's Loop Santa Barbara campaign, I know you guys are trying to install that in more venues. What type of venues were you trying to get it installed into?
Well, we want to install loop systems in all the performing arts theaters here in town. For example, the Lobero Theater, the Granada Theater, or the Garvin Theater up at SBCC. We would also like to see it in movie theaters. We would like to have loop systems in churches with an aging population, and that's where people typically complain that they can't hear. And then loop systems are not only suitable for large public venues and auditoriums, but they're also interesting for transient situations. For example, at a ticket counter or a drive-up window for a bank teller, or at a pharmacy, for example.
Yeah, so it's a place where there's kind of background noise and it's hard to understand the person you're talking to.
And whenever confidentiality is a problem and you want privacy, if there's someone who's 80 years old, can't hear, and is at a pharmacy, and that pharmacist doesn't want to yell that information, what those pills are for, through the entire pharmacy, with a loop system, the person could just tune into the hearing loop with the hearing aids. The pharmacist could essentially whisper into the unit, and the other person can hear it, because all the background noise is blocked out, and the person with the hearing aid just gets the clear sound without any background noise.
Definitely seems like a very useful thing to have in places like that. And that voice you're hearing once again is Thomas Kaufmann. He's the founder of AutoJoy, one of the three organizations involved in the Let's Loop Santa Barbara campaign. Do you want to tell us, first of all, what AutoJoy does?
Absolutely. AutoJoy is a local company that we started about a year ago, and we install hearing loops in Santa Barbara and the surrounding area. And the campaign Let's Loop Santa Barbara was initiated by the Independent Living Resource Center, which is an organization that helps people with disabilities. And it was backed by us as AutoJoy, as the hearing loop installer, as well as the Hearing Loss Association of America, specifically their Santa Barbara chapter. So that's a self-help group of people with a hearing loss that meet once a month. And they're obviously interested in getting hearing loop systems installed all over town.
So it's Thomas Kaufmann, the founder of AutoJoy, talking about the Let's Loop Santa Barbara campaign, a campaign to increase accessibility to the hearing impaired of Santa Barbara, which apparently there's a lot of. I didn't know that hearing impairedness was the #1 disability in the country.
It is, absolutely. If you look at the people with disabilities, about 70% of those are people with hearing loss. And that makes it the largest group of people with a disability. And just the people with hearing loss are more than all other disabilities combined.
So that makes the Let's Loop Santa Barbara campaign that much more relevant. If you want more information on that, where can people find more info on the campaign?
People can find more information on our website. That's otojoy.com. It's OTOJOY.com. as well as on the website that we're currently setting up. It's going to be loopsantabarbara.org. And there is a national website, which is hearingloop.org, just hearingloop.org. And there's a lot of information on there about loop systems, where they can be used, where they can be found, and other vendors, not just in Santa Barbara, but all over the nation, that can professionally install these systems.
All right. Now, once again, Thomas Kaufmann, the founder of AutoJoy for Let's Loop Santa Barbara. For more information, autojoy.com, OTOJOY.com, loopsantabarbara.org, which is currently under construction, but check that out for when that's up and running, and then also hearingloop.org. So, Thomas, thank you so much for dropping in and talking to us about it.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And for your issues and information, I'm Ricky Biggs here on 92.9 KJEE.